Hello everyone, I am Dr Tanmoy Biswas. I welcome you all in my channel Chemistry the Mystery of Molecules. Today's topic of discussion is carbon dioxide really bad? Because whenever it's a global warming and climate change, we consider that CO2 is responsible for that process. Yes, I agree. But is it really a villain or the story is something else? So in today's video, we shall learn the basics regarding the global warming and carbon dioxide with its a solution. But before going to the details, one MCQ in front of you, I request you, everyone should attempt it in the comment box. Don't worry, at the end of the discussion, you'll have the right answer with explanation. Now let's go to the main topic. What is the importance of this carbon dioxide? Remember, this carbon dioxide is actually one of the food for plant and it is utilized in the process of photosynthesis. Don't worry, I shall explain after some time in details. And next point is that without CO2, plant will be very cold and inhabitable because it stops the radiated heat from the earth crust, and which is called as greenhouse effect. Now next, actually without CO2 we cannot live. Not only because of temperature, without CO2 we cannot produce food because plant will not be able to produce food, they will die, and because of that the food chain of our planet will be terminally broken. And the most important point for this discussion is the higher level of CO2 is causing climate change, means it's increasing the average temperature of the globe, which is resulting abnormal weather pattern. It's really destructing. So let's learn everything point by point. So CO2 is a food for plant. See, you can see this chemical reaction where carbon dioxide is converted, reacted with water in presence of sunlight. This supplies the energy, and chlorophyll acting as a catalyst which produces this is glucose and oxygen. By the way, glucose and oxygen both we utilize for our food, or product made of glucose we can consume as our food. This is the source of energy, and these oxygen we utilize to breathe. So actually what these plants are doing, they are producing food of us. And here what is happening, the sun's energy is converted into the chemical energy glucose, and that is responsible to provide us energy for living, and for that purpose it consuming carbon dioxide. So it's a blazing, you can consider plant's mechanism. Next, how carbon dioxide is involved in the food chain. So first of all, the plant story photosynthesis, I explained that it absorbs CO2 and it produces food. So that food we consume, we, or you can say animal consume, and later on plant residue or animal residue, some other fossil fuel also produce. So fossil fuels energy is also the energy of plants photosynthesis. And finally when we burn fuel, we die, anything, any activity, ultimately this carbon dioxide comes out. So you can clearly see this is a carbon cycle it's going on. Okay, so in this carbon cycle CO2 is one of the important parts. So without CO2 this food chain will be broken down, so it is essential. And next, the third point, greenhouse effect. So whenever the sun's energy fall on planet earth, so it gets radiated, and this radiated heat actually get reflected by greenhouse gas like CO2, means carbon dioxide, this is water vapor, this is methane. By the way, methane and water vapor, they are more powerful greenhouse causing gas, or they are more powerful in greenhouse effect compared to CO2. But since the amount of CO2 is massive, very high, that's why we very often responsible CO2 as the villain for climate change. But it is not. But suppose if this CO2 or these other greenhouse gases are not there, this planet would have been uninhabitable. So there it is needed. But the main problem is excess CO2. Okay, so what is the contribution of CO2 in the global warming? Now you can see the global greenhouse gas emission. If you look at this thing here, carbon dioxide which produced from this fossil fuel burning or industrial activity contributes 65%, and carbon dioxide from forestry and other agricultural process or land use produces 11%. So in combination nearly 75%, actually 70, nearly 75% of greenhouse gas effect happening because of this carbon dioxide, or you can say CO2 has a role of nearly 75% in global warming and climate change. So this is because of human activity. So student, it is very important. This global warming is not a phenomena. We should say it's a human caused global warming. The phenomena didn't happen by itself. Because of our activity, this happened. This much we understand. Because of human activity, this carbon dioxide is emitted, which is responsible for this global warming and climate change, and for that purpose we are observing some climate abnormalities. Now the next question is, how much CO2 level increased due to human activities? Now if you look at here, this is a pre-industrial level, means you may consider this is a nature's CO2 level in atmosphere when human didn't made any intervention. But from industrialization, we utilized fossil fuel and different other processes. Because of that, CO2 level gradually increased. And by the way, it is ppm, parts per million. Then you will say, sir, it's a very small. Million means 10 to the power 6. From 10 lakhs, how much part I am talking? So it's a parts per million, but atmosphere is huge. And you'll be surprised that every year nearly 35 gigaton, I repeat, gigaton CO2 year adding into the atmosphere. So huge amount. And if you look at this increase, it is nearly 50% increase in CO2. And this data is 2020, and by the way, now onwards we are emitting more CO2. Why? For our developmental activities, other purposes, energy requirement, we are emitting more, because energy demand for human civilization is increasing, global population is increasing, so CO2 emission also increasing. That the thing to be concerned. Okay, now, so how much CO2 level increase we understand. Now how does this much CO2 level increase? From where this emission came from, or how human released that much CO2 into the atmosphere? So if you look at from that time, 1850, look at this industrial time I am talking. So here look at coal, it contributes maximum because it's the old conventional fuel. Next is oil, next is gas. And another thing, you will see this blue part, cement. Is it that much polluting? Yes, students, cement production is actually associated with huge amount of CO2 release. It's a very climate dirty process, but we need cement for construction processes. Now if you look at oil, gas, why gas is less? Actually gas, oil, they are hydrocarbons, so carbon and hydrogen there. So if you burn them, you will get carbon dioxide and water. So the energy comes from both carbons burning and these hydrogens burning. For example, you can consider methane, the simplest hydrocarbon, which burns in presence of oxygen to produce carbon dioxide and water. Okay, so two molecules of water produced. Water is a very stable molecule, so it will release huge amount of energy also. That's why the carbon footprint for a particular amount of energy release is lesser for gases than oil. And coal is maximum because coal has only carbon. So you need to react it with oxygen, produce carbon dioxide, but energy output is not that much compared to its CO2 output. So you can consider with respect to per molecule CO2 emission, coal is the most dirty fuel. And the sad thing is that majority of world's electricity comes from burning coal only. So right now we need to shift from this fossil fuel based energy production system if we want to stop the global warming and climate change, and this is the best solution for this problem. Okay, so this first shifting from fossil fuel based, but how we can produce our energy, that is from renewable sources like solar, wind, even some contribution come from nuclear also, although that's not renewable. So we need to avoid this fossil fuel because it is associated with CO2 emission. Now whatever we have emitted, that's true. Second thing, many countries still now are not capable to shift from their existing fossil fuel based system to renewable energy production system. So it's it is time consuming, lots of issues are there. So what is the immediate solution? The best solution is plant as much as tree, because as I told, in the case of photosynthesis, they consume CO2 and they produce glucose. And do not cut the trees, make more forest land. In this way, store extra carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So whatever carbon CO2 is there in the atmosphere causing global warming, consume those by plants. Made their plants body is nothing but a carbon, they are CO2 eater. So preserve them. In this way we can remove as much as CO2 possible. And most important part, protecting existing natural carbon storage, I mean carbon negative system like wetland or marshland. You'll be surprised why, because in those places algae are there, different plants are there, so they consume CO2, produces their body, and they die. So on their body another level grows, on their body another level of those plants grows. So in these ways CO2 gets trapped inside these wetlands. We need to protect them, because if we cannot protect or they are destroyed by forest fire, then huge amount of CO2 will come back into the atmosphere again. So we need to protect them. We need to protect permafrost. This is a very interesting topic, I shall discuss in some other videos. So you can see in Siberia region, Alaska or Canada, so these lands are actually, the normal soil is covered with ice. This is a ice layer. Below that some other soil layer. Above that there is a local ecosystem or soil where plants are there. Now if this permafrost got molten because of higher temperature, then just imagine the carbon stored below, carbon in the form of carbon dioxide or methane or even some organic bodies, which are organic plant bodies, animal bodies, which are there low temperature stored. So those bodies will be decomposed by microbial activity, and huge amount of CO2 will come. If the process is aerobic, means in presence of oxygen. If it is anaerobic, then methane will come out, and as I told, methane is more powerful greenhouse gas compared to carbon dioxide. So it is true that we need to plant more trees. More than that, we need to preserve this existing carbon sinks such that they shouldn't come out. And we should save the forest from forest fire. Nowadays it's a big problem worldwide, lots of forest fire happening, so we need to focus on that. Okay, so this is the overall discussion. Let's go back to MCQ. So which of the gas has highest acid rain capability? Your answer, in order to get the answer, first you need to ask which molecule produces strongest acid, because I have asked acid rain. So in order to have acid rain, we need acid. So who produces strongest acid? So if you look at ammonia plus water, it reacts and produces a weak base, ammonium hydroxide. SO3 plus water produces H2SO4, sulfuric acid. It is a strong acid. NO plus water doesn't react. By the way, NH3 is it's not at all an acidic oxide. SO3 is acidic oxide, 2 is amphoteric oxide. CO2 is acidic oxide, it reacts with water but it produces H2CO3 or carbonic acid. This is weak acid. So your answer will be option B. So this is the overall discussion today. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye bye.